Hello everyone, it's Hyden in the Philippines. Today I'd like to talk about Philippine racism. Now we all know something about this subject on some level. Some of us are victims of this word and some of us are perpetrators. Some of us are just the bystanders, but they're part of it. Now I personally have no lasting memory of ever being a victim of racism. I believe one time somebody called me a cracker, and I thought it was funny, because it didn't land like it was supposed to, and I like crackers. Now, I've certainly been an open perpetrator of racism. Yes, it's a fact. I could deny it, but it's just not true. And currently, I'm a reluctant bystander. Now, I'd like to elaborate. I was born in Alabama in the 60s. I was raised in the South, and I was indoctrinated into that lifestyle. I'm a white kid. Look at me. I'm a whitey McWhite. So, like I said, I was indoctrinated into that culture, and I was a true representation of that up until I was 16. Then we moved from the South to California, and that is 100% a cultural mixing pot where your ignorance has no leg to stand on because it's really not going to be tolerated. I mean, you could try and get away with it a little bit, but in California, it's really, really tough. So that's when my mind began its transformation. Now, I really have no intentions today of trying to tell that story because it's a long-winded one, and man, I could spend an hours talking about it, but I'm not going to. Today, I really want to speak about two things: the racism you're going to experience as a foreigner in the Philippines, and then the cultural racism that you're going to witness while you're there. You can't help but not see it because, as an American, it's all over the news all the time, and we're exposed to it, and it's shoved down our throat. So when you see it, and you will see it, you can't help but not see it and recognize it for what it is. Now, the first thing I want to talk to the racism that you're personally going to experience as a foreigner, regardless of your color. I call it pacism. Okay, you're a rich Kano, and you're going to pay. You're the one that's going to pay. Like when you go out to eat and stuff like that, and nobody going to be reaching for their wallet. You're going to pay. I'm not saying that people won't, but you're expected to pay because you're rich. Now you're saying I'm not rich. Well, look, man, it costs at least $1,000 to fly there, a minimum of 1,000, and that's a half a year's pay for a lot of Philippine people. So just by you landing and standing in the Philippines, you're already painted with that rich paintbrush. Even though it's not true, it doesn't have to be true. It's true. Now, I had a buddy of mine. He got in an accident there. It wasn't even his fault. He was sitting there like this. Somebody came from behind, hit him in the back. He moved forward and hit the next guy in front of him. It was a thing. It was a scene. My buddy was nervous. He was nervous for his life a little bit. He had nothing to do with it. Absolutely, it was not his fault. But in the end, to make this long story short, since he was the Kano, the foreigner, he ended up, just to get out of it, he ended up paying $40. $40 to get out of an accident he had nothing to do with. I mean, that's just the way it is. You're white, you're going to pay. You're a foreigner, you're going to pay. Now, the other thing you're going to come across, it's being called Joe. And you might take it as being racist, but it's really not. They just don't know your name, and they want to call out, and they see a foreigner, and they want you to get your attention. They're going to throw that hand up and smile and go, "Hey, Joe," and you're going to turn your head. Your name ain't Joe, but you're going to turn your head to see who's calling. And I'm just going to tell you right now, your best bet is throw that hand up in the air and smile, because though it is a slight form of racism, it's really not. It's just somebody trying to get your attention and get to know you a little bit. Now, another thing you're going to come across, and I hate to break this to you, It doesn't really matter. If you're from the United States of America, you're a Kano. Okay, that's a K-A-N-O, Americano. That's what you are. Regardless of the shade of color of your skin and your insistence on your separate nationality, African American, Mexican American, Jewish American, your identity politics is going to fall on deaf ears in the Philippines, because 100%, as soon as you say you're from the States, you're a Kano. Okay, the Philippine people have placed you in a nice little neat drawer, and it's under K, and it's a Kano. You got me, Kano? You understand what I'm saying there, Kano? It is a form of racism, but hey, I didn't make the rules. It's what you are. You don't have to like it, but that's just the way it is. And I think it's kind of funny. I don't care at all. Now, I cannot speak on the difference of how they treat white Americans and black Americans. As you can plainly see, I'm as white as they get. I'm Whitey McWhite White. So I really don't know what the difference in treatment is. I cannot speak on that, so I won't speak on it, because if I did, it would just come across as ignorance. And we're not really trying to come across any more ignorant than we already are. So anyway, now let's move on to the Philippine cultural racism. In the Philippines, just like here, we're racist against our own people. We are. We can't lie about it. And the Philippine people are the same way. They've got their own hierarchy and caste system, and we didn't create it, but you're going to witness it when you're over there. Now, one of the things you're going to see over there is if the further you go out into the country, the darker the skin the people are, and that's how the racism is in the Philippines. The darker your skin is, the lower class you are. I didn't make up these rules. Now, you see the shirt I'm wearing right here? This is a shirt you're going to see everywhere. Some form. It's long sleeve. It's dry weave. You're going to see people wearing it. It's like 100 out. 100. It's so hot, and the humidity is like 120%. I mean, just hot as any. You're going to see people wearing this. They're going to be wearing long pants, gloves. They do this thing with a t-shirt where they tie around their head, where all you're going to see is their eyes. And that's all to prevent the sun from getting their skin any browner. They don't want to be brown, because in their culture, the browner you are, you get treated differently. They treat you poorly, basically. You're low class, which I find to be kind of humorous, because in my head, the analogy is, okay, let's just do this. If you take a provincial person, and that's what they call them, somebody that works out in the province, a farmer, they call them a provincial person, and you move them into the city, they're going to be all right. They're not going to like it, but they're going to be all right. They'll be able to manage. Now, you take a city person, you throw them out in the country and go, hey, you make do out here, they're not going to do that well. They're just not going to. Now, they have names for these people, like I said, provincial, negrita, negrito, negro, negra. These are all slurs to denote the color of your skin. And we know what these words mean. It's the same word we use here. It means the same word there. Now, like I said, they're avoiding the sun as much as, because they don't want their skin to be white. Now, if you think I'm wrong, you go into any larger store in the Philippines and you go into the toiletry section, you're going to see products specifically made to whiten skin. There's going to be creams, soaps, you name it. There's going to be a section on whitening. Now, I'm also told you can get, if you got the money, you can go get injections which will stop the production of melatonin, and you will just be white. I mean, ghost white. Now, I've seen these people. Normally, they're Koreans, and I'm not bagging on the Koreans. It's just when you see a Korean, they are white. I mean, snow white. The whitest. I mean, they're whiter than me. They're twilight white. Like the first time I seen one, I was like, man, is that a vampire? Because at any moment, I expected, the fangs to come out in this sucker to bite me. But I mean, as far as it goes about the Koreans Those people have figured out how to become white, and they are white. You know, kudos to you people on how you do it, but man, they're white. Now, like I said, there's whitening products. You can buy them, but most Filipinos can't afford that stuff, so they just wear this and head covering and whatever they can do to stay out of the sun. They'll be in the shade. Now, I've personally witnessed some of this racism towards my girlfriend. Now, my girlfriend and I lived on the island for a couple months, you know, and it's beautiful. There's beaches, and we'd go to the beach. We're riding out on a scooter. You know, she's wearing covering like this. But over the course of some months, she caught a little tan. Now, I mean the slightest damn tan, which I thought looked just chef's kiss how beautiful it looked on her, because she looks beautiful with the little tan. Now, she hated it. 100% hated getting tan. She avoided that sun like it was, you know, leprosy. She didn't want to be in the sun because she didn't want to get tan. And I know now why. Because when we got home, we went to go visit her mom and dad. And when we got home, as we're coming down the hill, her mom started making fun of her. She was like, "Oh, look, here comes my little negrita." Now, like I said, we all know what that word means. It's a racial slur to denote someone's skin color. And all I could do was laugh about it. You know, it was to bring her down a little bit. You know, but right behind her comes me, Mr. Whitey McWhite. But anyway, I mean, and then for the next couple of days that we were there, all her relations, the cousins, everybody made a comment about the color of her skin. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, she had the slightest tan. I mean, just the slightest. But they make fun of her for it. I mean, it's honest fun, but it's not at the same time. You know, it's a backhanded compliment. They're making fun of her, but they're kind of putting her down at the same time. And that's the racism I'm talking about there. They covet white skin, which here, you know, we're all trying to get tan. Over there, everybody want to get white. So that's the cultural racism that you're going to experience over there. Now, I myself, when I come across somebody that has super dark skin, I just put myself in their shoes and go, I am that guy. You know, I'm a laborer by trade. I mean, I'm a welder, but it's physically labor intensive. You know, so if I was outside, my skin would be dark brown. So I don't look down on these people, man. I just know that they're my brothers. The darker your skin is, if you're in the Philippines, I see your dark skin. We're brothers, 100%. I am you, and I appreciate you. And we have a saying here: never laugh at a farmer with your mouth full. Okay, this has been Hiding in the Philippines. I hope your Christmas was well. I hope the new year brings you joy. Be as good as you can. Ciao.